Hello, I'm Ann Willett, Senior Pastor at Northaven Church. As a church that values social justice, Northaven has always believed that faith and justice go hand in hand. In our Northaven Voices interviews this month, we will feature church members and community leaders who will share their stories and insights on how we can continue to strive to be an anti-racist congregation. I hope you will enjoy.
Hi, this is Kim Bachelor, and I am part of the Journey to Racial Justice team at Northaven United Methodist. We are very pleased today to be able to have a conversation with Marsha Jackson, who is the co-founder and co-chair of Southern Sector Rising. For those of us at Northaven, we may remember that we worked on the Shingle Mountain effort to try to get Shingle Mountain dismantled. And because of the work of Ms. Jackson, that was successful. So I really am so happy to have her here today. I also want to remember to say that she is a doctoral candidate in public administration. So those are her two main areas, and really appreciate her taking the time to speak with us about this issue. So Marsha, what I'd like to do is ask you to tell the story of Shingle Mountain. In other words, what was your experience? Tell us, I think first, if you could, a little bit about your neighborhood, where you live, what it's like. I've been there, it's a wonderful place. And then a little bit about how the revelation of Shingle Mountain and how it's impacted you, your neighbors, your community, your family.
Sure. Thanks, Kim. I moved in my neighborhood in September 1995 because my girls rodeo, and that was the way we can have our animals on the property with us. And at first, it was just a private little area across the street from us that grew greens, selling down to farmers market. In the back acreage, they grew flowers for the nursery. So Floral Farms is named because of all the nurseries up and down the road. They've been here maybe 55 plus years. And so you can just imagine that. I know that it's 4 nurseries in the area. Then around the corner also now we have an urban garden. So that's where we want to come back to the greenery. That just kind of went off. Then in 2007, it is a flood zone. It flooded. So the worst issues that we have ever had, just imagine living here since 1995, the flood in 2007. Then in 2018, January 2018, come Blue Star. And Blue Star came less than 100 feet from my bedroom. And just imagine that. Within 2 weeks, you wouldn't imagine how fast that property that grew. All those shingles up there look like mountains. So I began to call. I called anonymous at first because it's just me and my girls here. Didn't want any problems there. But it started growing so fast, knocking the fence down. Couldn't sleep at night. The front loaders is all in the eyes. So I called again, 311, and then no response. This went on all the way to July. Just imagine, from January 2018 to July 2018. And I had to keep calling again. And I asked them, wait a minute, now you guys closed my case. And it's closed. So how you close when you have these big mountains right next door to somebody's house? Knocked it down, couldn't breathe. Didn't know that that's what we were really coughing up, was the black smut from all those shingles. Roofing shingles, I tell people all the time, shingles. Roofing shingles that come off your house. And the lady came back and said she told me she gave a violation. They come back, they cleaned it off. They went across the street where the big Shingle Mountain was. They blocked the creek. The whole creek, driving back and forth. They put all those shingles and pallets and wood in there. Water couldn't flow. And she said, wait a minute, I'm going to have to talk to my boss. September, they were right back over here again. So they was doing both of them. And it flooded. It flooded again in our back because they had blocked the creek out there. And we have pictures and everything. The fire department they couldn't do anything in the back because the water was up so high also. And my neighbors lost 2 horses. So I went to Highland Hills Recreation Center in November 2018, and Tamika Duro was there, and I spoke to her about this, what was going on. And she said, I think I got somewhere where you can go. I said, you guys fighting about this place. What about down there by my house? You're forgetting it. Nobody's saying anything. And she invited me, and I met Jim Sherberg and Evelyn Mayo and the whole team. And Jim came out and looked, and he couldn't believe what he saw. And that's when he also called Robert Walonsky. And Robert wrote about 16 articles on that. And he
Hmm.
started bringing attention to it with the See Their Dollars. And they did come out and tell them they had to move. And that was the first one they gave a stop order to.
Right.
Then last and I think James McGraw, when he was at the city, called me and asked me, well, Miss Jackson, that was in January. Miss Jackson, I was just checking to see how it was going. That I said, well, I just figured y'all told them to go back to work. It's January 2nd. Don't forget, January 2nd, 2019. They had opened back up and started working. They didn't know anything about that.
Mm, okay. And Blue Star is a company that owns Shingle Mountain, and they were the ones who brought all those shingles in to be recycled, right? Theoretically, and
Yeah,
then
right.
and it's just huge. I was out there and saw how big that was. Now, did you also say that Blue Star did not? They haven't paid anything, that they went bankrupt and basically shirked responsibility. Am I correct in understanding that?
They did go bankruptcy, but before they went bankruptcy, they were supposed to have been paying
Oh,
$500 to $1,000 a day. They paid nothing, and that's what's so terrible about it. That you let them come over and dump in our neighborhood like that, causing all kind of issues and causing health issues. And somebody asked me one time, Miss Jackson, is it because of beauty? No, it was not because of the beauty. I want everybody to understand that it is because of our health.
mhm,
Those shingles were health hazard down here. Not only they had all those chemicals in it, they still had the airborne. It was airborne.
mhm,
If people come down, they would have saw some of those pictures. They saw how all the black dust was even on our filters, coming into our fans. Next door neighbors that all had it. My neighbor across the street that has a nursery for 53 years came and found me, and I didn't even know he was over there. And he said he was worried about his workers also because you could see it all just flying up and up across 310.
mhm. And
Yeah.
it has had some long-term effects for you. Isn't
It
that?
does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
you can tell that I continue talking for a while. You
mhm,
can tell I just kind of get off in my throat and the rattling in my throat. It just
mhm.
feel like sometimes it's just raw. And the doctor could say it could be permanent damage
Oh,
because that fiberglass that was airborne, it just kind of got off in my vocal cord. And it's just like when you have a cold,
mhm,
congested cold, and that's how what you'll see just going in and out from the pictures, the cameras there. It's just going in and out, just wrap around the inflammation of the
yeah.
vocal cords.
Right. Well, also it just broke my heart when you said you were just too concerned about the situation to have your grandchildren come. Am I correct about that?
That's correct. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to let them come because I have one now, so it's been through 3.5 years. One of them now is 3 years old, so she was a newborn, and I have a 6 month. Because if it's affecting me, just imagine how it's affecting the kids. My neighbors have renters over there for their horses, and they're still concerned about their horse because they will continue being sick also. So just
Mm,
imagine that all those pollutants they have.
right.
If they ain't breathing them and we breathe them here, people do not understand that. They do not understand that. That's the most important thing that I want people to know about the environmental issues. It is health problems that this causing. And
Mm,
I don't know if you're going to ask my question, even though that they got the remediation down there, but the access of that property has heavy lead in there on that property
right.
now. So
Uh-huh.
now we're advocating that they go in and do remediation of that property, remove that lead. The property that first started with me, the owner removed those property themselves, but they didn't do any kind of assessment on that property. When they removed that ground up shingles, they just put white rocks on top of it. So when they started trying to bring those trucks in there in May, I immediately got really, really sick then
Mhm.
because they not understand that stuff they was covering with white rocks. They were just bringing it back up, airborne again. About it being airborne, my head started hurting so bad. I couldn't hardly talk. I had 2 days I had to be in the hospital in the bed because of that. So by them being there, they just do not understand the effect of it. They had a renter there. That renter, they had to move across the street because when a renter was on that property, their skins was just filled up with all that fiberglass that was on airborne, and you would think it's chicken box on it, because it was just they were so broken out. But just because they were trying to work like they could, they didn't know all this was going on when they rented that property.
Right. That's horrible. And I think the fact that you look out and see that mountain when it was there, and understanding there's still ongoing issues you still have to deal with, but it's all right for a community to say this is an eyesore. We know so many neighborhoods, we wouldn't tolerate that. And you have every right to also say it's the health. That's the primary thing, but also just your environment, what you're looking at every day.
And people don't understand, because when they go back and if they would look at the air view of it, it would look like we are completely surrounded in a landfill. That's exactly what it looked like. And just like the Commissioner Price said once, if when they had the big fire in Hutchins with those tires on fire, if this property would have caught on fire, it would be like we were just in the middle of an incinerator, because it was just a dead end. We had no other way to get out.
Wow, that's awful. Well, let me move a little bit to hear your thoughts on faith communities becoming involved with, or how we can best be involved with assisting, being good allies around environmental justice and environmental racism. We know I'm going to ask you in a few minutes about another issue that's come up, but I know for you all, it's going to be a zoning. The zoning there is a problem, and there's some other things. But how can we, as a faith community, in another part of town? So, what could we be doing best? And how did you see us maybe with the Shingle Mountain faith communities, how they worked, and how we could have done more? And in the future, what's the best way for us to be good allies?
Well, thank you for asking that. And this is a good time that I will say how appreciative I am with Northaven, because I tell people all the time that you guys came out and support us, and you didn't know anything about us. We didn't know anything, but just joining together, our race, creed, denomination, joining together for the cause. And that just meant so much to me. I always tell people, I don't know how to express myself to let you guys know how much we appreciate it, because when it's a multitude of voices, we are heard, and we have actions. And so I still say continue doing exactly the same thing you get when we have call to action. Come out and show your face and show support. Write the letters, write your councilman, your mayor, your senior city manager, and let them know that this has to stop, because these issues have to stop. We're fighting now, like you said, the zoning. My home and my neighbors are agriculture. Right next to me is our industrial zoning, heavy industrial zoning, and I am. So none of those kind of zoning should be close to residents' homes at all. My neighbors have the same thing across on Bermuda Road. They're having the same issues. They've been there for years, over 40 years, but it has been rezoned. The city dogs rezoned it for some reason. I have no idea, because maybe they want to bring more business. But that is so wrong when you have these residents that have been here. My house was built, I think, probably in 1940. So all of a sudden you're changing it, for the zoning. Think about the people that you have in the community. And allies do the same thing. Help us, because we're going to do the same thing. When you need us to call us, so we're going to be right there on the front line for you guys. And like you said, the same thing in West Dallas. We had the big call in, and we talked to GAF. GFF doesn't have a certificate. They asking for one. I advocate, look what I just went through for 3.5 years. I don't want anybody else to go through that. That's very hard. People do not understand that.
All right. Tell me now who JFF is?
That is the roofing company, the shingle company in West Dallas.
Oh, okay.
And you go there, is right next to it, right behind the school, right in the neighborhood. So just imagine those kids walking out there and what they're smelling. In the summertime, that Shingle Mountain was over there. You could smell, it was just the heat just beaming down on the roof. It smelled like it was pavement burning. The same thing that they're going through right now in West Dallas. When we went to the meeting a couple of weeks ago, you just hear all that pounding and all that smell that you can hear. And people saying now they're home, it's just taking a breath. I can imagine what they went through.
Yeah.
To me, but here it's almost like another nightmare. And I just hate to see anybody else go through it. They have little children. So it's good for everybody, to continue showing that support and voices, writing those letters. to the representative. Some representative was on that call, and that's very good. But continue supporting the community.
Great. Well, we really look forward to being able to in the future help out with this, and especially when you're reminding us that this is not a one-off and over. You all and your community are still experiencing some challenges. We want to be helpful in any way we can, and that partnering, we're right there and ready to do that. So I hope that in the future that we can. I really appreciate your taking time today to talk with me. This has been very enlightening, and I think it gives us a fuller picture of a way that we were able to work together. And we hope that with the pandemic hopefully gone at some point in the future, we can even be more active and helping out. And we want to really know more about other communities that are impacted. And so you're sharing that information about West Dallas. West Dallas has suffered so much with so many chemical plants and or just presence of really toxic chemicals in those businesses and a lot of and then of course what's most famous to me, having lived here for quite a while, was the lead smelter there too. That kind of didn't start it, but it started it in our awareness. So we want to be helping however we can. And so I appreciate so much your giving the time to us, and it's been so helpful. And thank you again.
Okay, thank you.